All right, so we're here with the latest DIY kit from Popov Leather. This is our Holden hide, aka can koozie. Good time for the start of spring, a great project to do at home. What's included with this kit will be the cutout leather and pre-punched leather, the 2 needles for your sewing, as well as the thread. What you'll need at home to finish it off is a pair of scissors to snip the thread, lighter to burn our ends, and a can of your favorite beverage for being our sewing fixture.
Shout out to Nelson Brewing Company. Right there, product placement. Okay.
So our first step is threading the needle. You want to have a clean cut and pulled straight your thread. Hold it fairly close to the end, and then line it up with the eye of your needle here. Once you get it through, we're going to pull it just past the needle, maybe half an inch. And then you're going to want to lay the thread flat right on the tip of the needle, and we're actually going to pierce the needle right through the thread. You want to get close to the center, so if it's not quite right, you can pull it back and line up again. There's a good one right there. We're going to pull it through, and then pull it tight on it, and then give it a bit of squeeze and smooth it out so it stitches smoothly for us. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. So we're going to pull the thread straight, line up the hole.
Yeah, I know. It's just like between
And through it goes. Pull it a little past the tip. Pierce through the middle of the thread, pull it tight, and smooth the end. Alright, we're ready to stitch now. We're going to start with the flesh side, both needles going through the 2 holes that are closest to the base of the Holden hide. So we're going to get a needle through each side, pull them both through, and then work both the threads so that we're about the same length on them here. Okay. Okay. Once you've done that, we're going to fold this over. We're going to start making the structure of it here. So to do that, we're going to want to pass these again through the flesh side, the back side of the holder section. Pass that guy through. And then same with the other side. It'll start to take shape here. Okay, so we're going to pull those guys tight, make sure that our threads still stay at the same length through that exercise. So we're going to create our anchor stitches here. We're just going to go across horizontally and pass the thread back into the same hole where we started on each side. At this point, it's okay if the pieces come apart a little bit as they are here while you're making your threads. We'll pull it tight in a moment. So same thing with the other guy. Go across through the same hole. Together. So now we're going to pull everything tight, like so. Make sure our threads are still the same length. Okay, so we've got our anchor set. We just got to get our threads back to the outside so we can start our main round of stitching. So we're going to pass through the next set of holes on the tab, the next holes up from the back, and then through the next hole on our main run here, like that. And then same on the other side. So you can see from the back side here, we're going through the next hole in the tab, the last hole in the tab, and then just making sure it's lining up with the second hole up on the main run. All right, so we got our threads on the outside. we're ready to load our can and start the main run. So this stitch is going to be a baseball stitch. It's unique for all of Popov products. This is the only baseball stitch product. You've seen saddle stitching in our other DIY videos with the layered leather. This is actually a way to join a butt junction with the two pieces of leather. And as you'll see once we start stitching, the name baseball stitch is because it's just like how a baseball is stitched. So while as we start out here, some things we want to be conscious of. We want to try and keep the thread flat, so you'll see every time I reach for a needle, I actually grab down the thread and pull up with my hands so there's no twists in it. And we're also going to be conscious to keep the pattern the same. So as the two threads cross over up each rung, we always want to have, in this case, we'll have the left side be the top stitch in each one. So all the stitches, the threads always starts from coming up out of the leather. All the stitches we pass through them down into through the butt junction, and then back up through the hole on the other side. So all our stitches are going to start by coming up through, and then passing down through the middle, and then back up through the other side. Every one of our stitches is going to do that. Okay. Now to keep the pattern consistent, I'm going to do two stitches with each thread and alternate, and then it kind of helps prevent getting mixed up on your routine. So this is the second stitch for this thread, through the middle, and then back out through the back. And I'm going to switch to the next thread and do two. So again, through the middle, out the hole. There's one stitch, through the middle, out the hole. There's your second stitch with that thread. So as you're working, you're going to want to, every few stitches, just make sure your tension is good and your leather is lined up nice. If you get too far up it, you won't be able to correct anything on the further down stitches. So usually every 3 or 4 you want to make sure things are straight. Also, as we're progressing up here, you want to watch the tension on the junction you're making. If you pull it too tight, it's going to be too tight on the can, and you're going to have a lot of trouble getting your next can in. So you want to get it just enough tension so that the two sides of leather butt up with each other. You're also going to want to be a bit careful when you're coming up through the leather. If you don't have the needle through the hole, or if it's on the side of the hole and you push on it, you may pierce the leather or damage the leather. So you want to be sure that you're coming up through like that. Also, as you go, you want to get your threads tangled up, so it's good to kind of keep them organized. Okay, and again, you want to check as you go. I'm following my 2x2 pattern, so it's staying in order, and you can see that on the left side, it's the top stitch and the crossover every time. If you get out of order, it'll stand out very quickly that one isn't right. If you do get out of order and you need to back stitch it, send the needle back through the way with the tip first and pull it through. If you try and go this way with it, you might end up stretching the leather, and it's just more difficult. So if you didn't line your threads up at the beginning to be equal length on each side, somewhere around here you might start noticing one thread being a little shorter than the other, and you start to wonder if it's going to make it or not. But these ones are looking good right now. It's okay for, you can see I'm kind of feeling the needle through the hole there. It's okay for it to press press on the back side of leather. You can actually see it moving there. So I'm actually using that to my advantage and getting it through that way.
Does it get more difficult towards the end as things kind of tighten up?
No, it stays fairly consistent routine the whole way up, and you'll probably find that you're just getting the hang of it right as you finish. It's really fun actually. You'll see this, obviously you'll see this in baseballs. Leather steering wheels in cars are also a common spot where you'll see this style of stitching. And again, you want to keep tending to the tension and the placement of the threads all the way up. Okay, so we're at the last two holes right now. We're going to come out both of them the same.
Is this part different than the way we've been going up the whole length there?
No, so this part is the same as we've been going, and then it sets us up for the final stage, which is a little bit different. So
okay.
So these guys carry on their pattern. Okay, so we want to make sure we got good tension there. All right, so now we're ready to remove the holder from the can after we've confirmed everything is nice here. So we'll remove it from the can and then we'll finish off our stitching. If it's tough to get off, you can pull from the bottom and remove it from the can. Okay, so now at this point we want to finish it off to match the bottom. So we want to have a double stitch here on top. So to do that, we're going to do the same as what we did on the bottom and just cross each one of these guys over. So we're going to want to cross these two top ones over just so it matches the bottom. When you're double stitching through any of these, just be conscious not to pierce the thread of the other stitch. If it does pierce it, just pull it back and try again. Don't carry through the thread. Okay, so we got our double bars here to match the bottom. So we want to pull these tight, but again, we don't want to over tension it. Otherwise, it'll close the top off, and it'll be really hard to fit any cans in. So that's a nice amount right there. Now we're going to fold it over. And we're going to tie a regular double knot here. Before tying though, it's good to just to snip the needles off so that they're not in the mix. Okay, so we're going to tie a double knot, plain old double knot. We want to get a nice firm knot right on the surface of the leather. But again, we don't want to over tension these knots. Otherwise, it's going to pull the thread on the other side and cinch up the whole top of the holder. So that's nice right there. Okay, and then now we're going to cut these threads off about 1/4 inch or a little bit less. And that one's a little long. Okay, so those guys are cut off, and now we're going to burn the ends of these. This is wax thread, so it'll burn and melt a little bit, and then we can form it flat to lock in the knot and also have a nice smooth surface on the back so it doesn't hit the can. So you just want to carefully take a lighter or a barbecue lighter even, and then get it so the ends of the thread start melting, and then work the melt in to get some of the knot. And then once you have that, turn over your lighter or get some other object and squish it flat. So you'll see the ends start to go. You want the knot a little bit affected, a little bit more, and squash her down. And it's good. We got a nice secure flat junction there, and it's ready to go.
Nice.